Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today I have 3 ingredient meal recipe ideas for you. I have an omnivore option, a pescatarian option, and even a plant-based or vegan option. Now, these recipes have 3 main ingredients, but I also do use some pantry staples like salt, pepper, and oil. So the first recipe we're going to start with is my Caesar baked chicken thighs, and I have skin on and bone in chicken thighs. That was hard to say for some reason. And I'm just salting and peppering both sides of the chicken thighs. And I like to get my chicken thighs from a local farm, and this is how they sell it, with skin and bone intact. But I'm sure you could make this recipe with boneless or skinless or whatever you have on hand. So again, we just salt and peppered both sides, easy peasy. And then to a baking dish, I'm going to add some of this Caesar dressing. And that is how I get away with having this be a 3 ingredient recipe. I really like the brand Primal Kitchen. I think their dressings and sauces have just really good ingredients. You know, if you were to home make this dressing at home, these are exactly the ingredients that you would use. So it's really convenient and nice on a busy weeknight to be able to just open the bottle and use it. So I just poured enough in the baking dish so that it covered the entire bottom, and then I'm taking each chicken thigh and making sure the sauce is coated on both sides of the chicken, and I'm leaving the chicken skin side up. The nice thing about this dressing is it does have avocado oil in it, so when it goes in to roast in the oven, it's gonna get nice and crispy and delicious on the outside. And while it was roasting, I had a head of romaine. So this is our 3rd ingredient, is a head of romaine or romaine lettuce. And I'm just gonna get that all chopped up into a serving bowl, and I'm gonna use the rest of the dressing to make a Caesar salad. So those are our 3 ingredients. Now, if you've got, croutons laying around, or Parmesan cheese, or other veggies on hand that you want to throw into the salad, by all means go for it. But I kept it super simple with only 3 ingredients for this one. So after 35 minutes, pull the chicken out, and wow, it is golden and crispy. And this dressing makes it so juicy. I don't know what it is, but it is so delicious. I'm so glad I discovered this method for roasting chicken thighs. And I had some parsley in the fridge, so I just threw some parsley on there. Go ahead and give yourself 2 chicken thighs if you want. I was hungry that night, so I had 2, and then just put some salad on the side. You could, of course, add a starch to this recipe, like some rice or garlic bread or potato, whatever you like. Our next recipe, the 3 ingredients are some frozen wild-caught sockeye salmon, some more Primal Kitchen. Nope, this video is not sponsored. I'm telling you guys to really like their dressings, and I can find them at Kroger, which is really cool. I'm using a honey mustard dressing, and here are the ingredients for that honey mustard dressing, and then just some fresh Brussels sprouts. So all we need to do is prep the Brussels sprouts a little bit. This is kind of optional. It's just how I prefer to prep my Brussels sprouts, but I cut off the end that's really kind of hard and tough, and then I just cut them in half. You can cut them smaller if you want. You just need to keep in mind that the cooking time is for Brussels sprouts that are about this size, so you would have to adjust the cooking time if you made them smaller or left them bigger. So you're just gonna transfer the Brussels sprouts to a bowl, and you're gonna pour on some of that honey mustard dressing. And that is what is going to flavor our Brussels sprouts, along with a little bit of salt and pepper. And this is a sheet pan meal, so we're going to cook all of these ingredients all in the same sheet pan, which is also, again, really nice. Also that it's only 3 ingredients and it's all going in one pan. So just toss the Brussels sprouts around so that that honey mustard dressing is coated in all of the Brussels sprouts. Honey mustard, it's like sweet and salty. Oh, it just goes so well with roasted vegetables like Brussels sprouts and with salmon. So I just put all the Brussels sprouts onto a baking tray that was lined with some parchment paper, and I'm just kind of scooting them around, making sure they all have room to breathe, because that way they will roast in the oven instead of steam. And then I made a little spot in the middle for our salmon. There's Jackson and Sally checking out what I'm doing, you know, supervising me in the kitchen in case any food falls to the ground, they pick it up for me. And you're just gonna put the frozen salmon right on the baking tray. Don't put any seasoning on it, just frozen right out of the freezer. And that's gonna go in a 400-degree oven for 10 minutes. So after the 10 minutes, it's obviously not done yet, but now that the salmon has softened up a little bit, you can go ahead and add the salt and pepper, and then I just basted on the honey mustard dressing. The reason you don't wanna add it when it's frozen is because it will literally just fall off. You know, as the salmon starts to thaw, it will just like pour right off of the top of the salmon. So you need to wait. And then that goes back into the oven for another, I think mine ended up being 12 minutes, but I'm going to say 10 to 15 minutes until the Brussels sprouts are super crispy. I love all those like brown, crunchy edges, and the salmon is cooked through and flakes easy. So to your plate, you're just gonna transfer some of those crunchy Brussels sprouts and your piece of salmon. I love being able to buy wild sockeye salmon at the store, but it's definitely a little bit cheaper to buy it from the Fraser section, and then I'm not having like fresh fish in my fridge like that needs to be cooked right away. I can just have it in the freezer and pull it out whenever I want to cook it, and I don't have to wait for it to thaw. And it flaked super easy, and it was so moist. This dressing just really makes it. Now on to our plant-based pasta recipe. And for this, you just need some pasta, your favorite pasta of choice. I used that brown rice pasta, some asparagus, and some hummus. I recommend a hummus that has a lot of flavor, so I used a roasted garlic hummus. And again, we're just gonna prep our asparagus, and I'd like to cut the woody ends off because they're kind of hard to eat, and then just chop it up into bite-sized pieces. I tried to make it like about the same size of the fusilli pasta. And what we're gonna do is create a sauce with the hummus and the pasta water. So you wanna make sure your pasta water is really nice and salted. I used a full tablespoon of salt. I think Italians would probably use even more. And then you're gonna go in with your pasta, and you're gonna cook the pasta 2 minutes less than what the package says, because when there are 2 minutes left, you're gonna add your asparagus so the asparagus can boil right along with your pasta. And make sure you reserve 1 cup of the pasta water before you drain it. And then I added a tablespoon of olive oil. You don't have to do this if you don't have it, but I think it helps the sauce like come together and stick a little bit better to the noodles. So then you're gonna add about 1/3 of a cup to 1/2 of a cup of your roasted garlic hummus, and then you're just gonna drizzle in some of that reserved pasta water. And that pasta water is nice and starchy, and it is gonna help the hummus like break down and become nice and creamy and more like a sauce. This is like the best hack ever that I've discovered. So you've got the nice whole grains from the brown rice pasta, you've got some veggies, the asparagus, and you've got, you know, the protein that's provided from the hummus from the chickpeas. And then I just added some pepper, gave it a bite, and it was so yummy and creamy. I think this is like the easiest ever. I hope you guys liked these recipes. Check the description below for more information. Comment, like, subscribe, do all the things, and I'll see you soon for another one. Bye!